What's up, it's Cinema Shogun here, and before we get too deep into this video, let me start by saying this. If you are in the East Palestine area, or if you are in the area affected by this train derailment chemical spill, do not, I repeat, do not sign any of the paperwork that is floating around right now. Do not sign any of these waivers. Do not sign any of these documents. Get a lawyer to look over them with you because they are doing some really shady stuff out there. Right now, Norfolk Southern is coming into people's homes saying that they're going to test them to see if there's any chemicals. The only problem is they're refusing to allow the residents to get their own people to come in and do these tests. No, Norfolk Southern wants to have their own people doing these tests so they can control the narrative. But that's not the worst part. In order for them to test your home, you have to sign some paperwork. And the fine print of this paperwork is something that takes Norfolk Southern and their fellow business partners off the hook for this thing entirely. Basically saying that they will be held harmless as if, hey, we have nothing to do with this. Meaning that if you sign this paperwork and you allow these people to test your homes, then you're signing over your ability and your right to sue them in the future. Okay? That's what's happening. They're holding these people between a rock and a hard place. Oh, you want to get your house tested to make sure it's safe for you and your family? You can't afford to go anywhere else right now? We'll come in and test it, sign this paperwork, and then when you do, you take them off the hook for whatever may happen to your health, your home, or anything in the future. They're already tricking a lot of people like this. Do not sign the paperwork. I mean, I can't sit here and tell you what to do. If I were you, I would not sign this paperwork. I know everyone's eager to get their homes tested, but they're not going to tell you the truth about what's going on anyway, which is why they have to have their people come in, and you can't have outside independent agencies coming in to check. So it's like they're killing two birds with one stone. We got our own people coming in to test your homes that are going to tell you whatever we want them to tell you. Also, by doing this and signing this paperwork, now we know that you can't hold us accountable for this in the future. A really scary situation, but it's something that's happening right under these people's noses. But to make matters worse, the Biden administration has turned down any disaster assistance. And I'm not saying that to get political because I try not to get too political on this channel, but that's just a fact. And it's crazy to me because in my 31 years of life, I've seen a lot of catastrophes all over the world. From tsunamis to hurricanes to earthquakes to war, famine, you name it. Just think of all the crazy things that have gone down in your lifetime. And the one consistent thing about every tragedy during my lifetime was that the U.S. was always there. It didn't matter where the tragedy happened. Oh, this happens in Zimbabwe. This is going on in Jamaica. This is going on in Haiti. This is going on somewhere in England. It doesn't matter where the travesty was. U.S. was always there to help. Always. Always there to help. But then I look at this situation. And finally, America is starting to experience some devastation of its own. We now have a situation where we have an environmental disaster taking place on our own soil. Something that honestly should displace a lot of these people, although our government's going to tell them, hey, it's okay to go back. And we have this problem on our own soil, and guess what? Guess who is not there? The U.S. The U.S. is not there to help its own citizens. Now, if this train derailment happened in another country, we'd be over there already. We'd have freaking cadaver dog squads, the U.S. military. We'd have planes dropping pallets of food from the sky with parachutes. scientists. The president, the vice president would already have visited over there to look at the devastation. But because it happened in a little laid-back town of Ohio, where people don't make a lot of money, a good old American town, it's forgotten about. The U.S. will be there to help everyone else because they have their own little interests and agendas at play. But when it's time to help our own citizens, nothing. Zero. Zilch. Nada. Imagine being one of the people of East Palestine, Ohio, unsure if you'll ever be able to go back home and live a normal life. And you turn on the news to see, is the news talking about my town? Nope. It's just showing our government put together another package of trillions of dollars to give to Ukraine. While people in our own country don't have clean drinking water. I want to dive into this article, but first, I want to give you all a quick word from this video's sponsor. Are you guys tired of TikTok? Personally, I think TikTok is one of the worst apps you could possibly have. There's so much just negative propaganda put on there that's indoctrinating kids. Which is why I would encourage you all to download Swagit, a free speech alternative to TikTok. An American-owned business. I think of Swagit almost like an American-owned TikTok. You want to do your little dance videos? You want to share videos of kittens? You want to show your recipes? Why not do it on Swagit? A US-owned business, instead of doing it on TikTok, where you have to worry about Chinese spies stealing your data and your information. Not to mention, there's no money to be made on TikTok. You see people with these millions of views on TikTok, they're not making any money. There's plenty of money to be made on Swagit. Download the Swagit app today. But let's go ahead and dive into this article. The Biden administration turned down a request for federal disaster assistance from Ohio Governor Mike DeWine in the aftermath of the train derailment in the state earlier this month. FEMA told Ohio state government that it was not eligible for disaster assistance to help the community recover from the toxic spill. They said that FEMA believed the incident did not qualify as a traditional disaster, such as a tornado or a hurricane, for which it usually provides assistance. Therefore, it denied to help. So, largely, the people of this town have been left to fend for themselves for the last couple of weeks. Finally, now that Americans decided, hey, we're not going to ignore this. Finally, now that me and other people, we've gotten this news story out there, we've been pumping it out there, making sure that everyone knows about this. Finally, the wheels are kind of turning. It looks like they may be sending a little help, but for the last 10 days, nothing. No Red Cross, no food coming into this town to help people. I've seen reports that random restaurants in the town have been feeding people. I've seen people drive out there with just truckloads full of water, passing them out to people. So everyday citizens are helping. They're stepping up to help their community. But our government, Big Daddy government, nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found at all. And we've been holding their feet to the fire. And finally, they just acknowledged that this even happened. Now they're finally acknowledging that this has happened. But what are they doing? They're turning this political. They're trying to make this a political thing. And in my opinion, I don't like most politicians. I don't care what side of the fence you're on. But that's what's going to happen here. They're coming in and they're going to try to turn this into a political debate between Republicans and Democrats, the left and the right. And at the end of the day, the only thing that really matters is the air that these people are breathing and the water that these people should be able to drink. But no, this will be turned into another political battleground while people point fingers here and there and no one gets any answers. I find it disgusting that finally, now that it seems like we're going to get some help for these people, that a lot of some politicians are really trying to raise awareness about this. Other politicians are trying to downplay the severity of the situation. And I really hate that they are gaslighting Americans, trying to pretend like this isn't a big deal when it is. This is a huge deal. And, you know, the same people who tell us that the environment and climate change is the biggest threat to America, now they're telling us, psh, yeah, not this though. No, not this, no. This doesn't matter because this wasn't part of our agenda. At the very least, I hate that this happened, but I'm thankful that this is exposing the hypocrisy of the climate change freak weirdos and this whole narrative that they've been pushing about the environment. This should show everyone that they do not care about the environment. When we have real environmental problems, they cover them up, they lie about them, they want to tell you that if you don't eat bugs and change your way of life and stop driving, that the world's going to explode in 10 years. But here we have a real environmental disaster and they're telling you, hey, you're talking about this too much. You should stop talking about this. This isn't a big deal. These things happen. It goes to show they don't really care. Let me know your thoughts though down in the comments. While you're down there, hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all in the next video.